Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another tutorial on another card game. Today's card game is going to be how to play pitch, also known as setback. I suppose it depends on where in the country you're from. Do you call it pitch or setback? Actually, leave a comment below. Tell us what you call the game and where you're from. I'm from New England, so I'm going to call the game pitch. There are a bunch of different versions of pitch. There is 10-point pitch, 18-point pitch, and each of those have different variations to those games. So it can be rather complicated, but what we're going to talk about today is the most basic version of pitch, and we call it cutthroat pitch. So let's waste no time and jump right into it and take a look at cutthroat pitch. All right, first, let's talk about the setup of the game. What do we need? Well, first, I need a deck of cards. So get a deck of cards, get rid of the jokers. We won't need those. Next, we're going to need players. How many players makes for the best round of pitch? Well, you can play as few as 3 to almost as many as you want. The more complicated it gets. But the ideal number of players for pitch is 4 or 5 players, unless you're playing teams. You could play teams of pitch with 2 players on each team or 3 players on each team, depending on how you want to arrange the game. Team pitch is a lot of fun as well. All right, next, let's talk about gameplay and some of the language of the game. First, the gameplay is really rather simple. Get that deck of cards and deal out 6 cards to each of your player. Throughout this tutorial, I'm going to assume we're playing with 4 players. So each player is going to get 6 cards. Now, don't ask me why, but in the game of pitch, those cards are dealt out 3 at a time. 3 for you, 3 for you, 3 for you, 3 for me, and 3 for 3 for 3 for 3 for until everybody gets 6 cards. Go figure. The gameplay itself is going to be simple. Once cards are dealt, there will be bidding. Whoever wins the bid, also known as the pitcher, or winner of the bidding, will declare what is trump. Once that is done, the pitcher will be the first player to play a card. They'll take one of their 6 cards, put it face up in the middle of the table, and everybody will respond with 1 card. Whoever puts out the best card wins that round or that trick. So the winner of that trick collects the cards, and the winner of that trick will then pick another card from their hand and play the next card. And that goes on for 6 times because every player has 6 cards. After 6 cards have been played, or 6 rounds, or 6 tricks have been collected, then just add up the points you've won, record them in the scoreboard. First player to 7 points. Some people play 11 points, some people play 15 points, but for this tutorial, we'll just say 7 points. First player to 7 points wins the game. That's the basics. All right, to understand some of the language of the game, let's go back to that best card wins. Best card of the 4 cards played during gameplay is going to win that round or that trick and collect those 4 cards. What is the best card? Well, the best card would be the highest trump card that was played. Okay, what is trump? Trump is the suit that was declared by the winner of the bid, also known as the pitcher, as being the dominant suit. So if I won the bid and I declared trump to be clubs, then anytime a club is played, whoever plays the highest club is going to be the winner of that trick. Pretty simple. Now, you can play a trump card anytime you want, but remember this. We dealt out 6 cards to, let's say, 4 players. That's 24 cards out of a deck of 52. That means that more than half of the cards have never even been dealt out, and they sit in the pile over there. We're only playing with 24 cards, or less than half the deck. So there are only 13 cards in any given suit. So if I declared clubs as trump, well, there's only 13 clubs in a deck, and I only dealt out half the deck. So In theory, there's only 6 or 7 clubs in play for 4 players. That means each player probably only has 1, 2, maybe 3 trump cards on average. But on any given gameplay, the highest trump card wins. Now, if there are no trump cards, because like I said, there are very few. So if nobody has trump, then the winning card played will be the highest card in the suit of whoever led. Let's say again for the conversation that I won the last trick. That means I get to play the first card for the next round. And for the fun of conversation, I throw out a 2 of diamonds. Player 1 doesn't have any diamonds. They throw in an ace of spades. Hey, my 2 of diamonds wins because diamonds are now the dominant suit for this round because that's what was led. If the next player throws out a king of hearts, my 2 of diamonds beat your king of hearts. But if the third player throws out a 3 of diamonds, yep, 3 of diamonds beats my 2 of diamonds. Now, in a non-trump round, you must follow suit. So if I throw out diamonds, you must follow suit and throw any diamonds you have in your hand, unless you have a trump. You can throw a trump anytime you want. But otherwise, you must follow suit. Then whoever has the highest card in the suit led will be the winner of that round. Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe it'll make more sense when we see it in actual animation play. All right, so what are the 4 points we're betting on? They're going to be high, low, jack, and game. What does that actually mean? Well, the first point that we want to consider is the highest card in trump. Obviously, the highest card in trump is going to be the ace of trump. But remember, 50% of the cards were never dealt in a 4-player game. So that ace of trump might never have been dealt, making the king being the highest trump or the queen the highest trump. I've seen the jack as the highest trump. So whoever wins the highest trump card gets 1 point. The next is going to be the lowest trump. The lowest trump, which is also the hardest one to get, is the 2. But again, 50% of the cards, the 2 may never show, making the 3 or the 4 or the 5 become the lowest card trump in play. The third point we're going for will be the jack of trump. So if hearts were declared trump, then whoever gets the jack of trump is going to win that third point. Now the fourth point is game. Game is figured by tallying all of the tricks that you won and counting basically the face cards. Because in the face cards, jacks are worth 1, any queen is worth 2, any king is 3, and any ace is 4. And any 10 you may have is worth 10 points. Remember, all of this point calculating is all to achieve that fourth point called game. We already know what high is. High is whatever becomes the highest trump out there. Then what is the lowest trump? Then the jack of trump, if the jack even shows, because 50% of the cards haven't been dealt. And then the fourth one could be game. And remember, if no jack shows because it was left in the deck and never dealt out, then we're all fighting for only 3 points, high, low, and game, making game a very important part of the strategy to securing that final point. Now, let me give you an example of adding up game. Let's say for the fun of conversation that I won 2 rounds of gameplay. Remember, there's 4 players, so each round there would have been 4 cards. I would have collected 4 cards, and I won it twice. So I have 8 cards. If I look at my point total, you'll see that I've got queen, 10, king, and ace. Those are the only ones that go towards game. The queen was worth 2 points. The 10 was worth 10 points. The king was worth 3, and the ace was worth 4 points, giving me a total count of 19. Did anybody get more than 19 And if not, I win game. It's as easy as that. Cool. Now, let's go to bidding. Okay, now that we understand the 4 points, high, low, jack, and game, let's start the bidding. Player 1 gets to bid first. Player 1 can bid anywhere from 1 to 4. Can't bid more than 4 because there's only 4 points in play, high, low, jack, and game. Player 1 can bid 1 to 4. Player 1 can pass. So let's say for the fun of it, player 1 bids 1. Now it goes to player 2. Player 2 can raise that bet and go 2, 3, or 4. And so on and so forth till it gets around to the dealer. Now, here's a couple little caveats to bidding. If all players pass and it comes back to the dealer is stuck with a 2-point bid. Whether you want it or not, you're stuck with a 2-point bid because all the other players passed. They didn't have a hand strong enough to make them feel that they could ensure at least a 1-point bet. Which, by the way, if you're holding an ace, well, you're guaranteed 1 point because nobody's going to beat the ace of trump. So if you've got an ace, you should be bidding at least 1. Make sense? Okay. So let's say that player 1 bids 1 and player 2 bids 2. This is the advantage to being the dealer. Sure, there's a disadvantage because you could get stuck with a bid. But the advantage to the dealer is that the dealer can steal a bid. But they can only steal a bid of 2 or higher. So let's say that player 1 bids 1. Player 2 bids 2. Player 3 passes. I, as the dealer, could say, I'm taking that bet for 2 points and steal the bid. I could even steal a 3-point bid if player 3 went 3 points. But I can't steal a 1-point bet. So if player 1 bets 1, player 2 passes, player 3 passes, I can't steal a 1-point bid. I have to go to 2 points. So basically to the dealer, you're in play at a minimum of 2 points. Whether you get stuck with the bid or whether you steal the bid, you're in a 2-point game as a dealer. Make sense? Cool. Let's move on. All right, so once again, how do we win the game? Well, remember, we deal out the cards, we bet. Whoever is the winner of the bet is the pitcher. The pitcher will always be the first player to put the first card from their hand to the middle of the table face up, and that first card from the pitcher has to be a trump card. Once all 6 cards have been played and all the rounds are done and all the tricks have been collected, we're then going to add up our points. Now the key here is the first player to that winning number, 7, 11, 12, 15. We're going to talk 7 points. First player to 7 points wins. Let's look at an example. Let's say all players have 6 points. We're all 1 point away from 7 or winning the game. Player 1 bid 1 point and everybody else called them and passed. At the end of the game, let's say that all 4 players each won 1 point, bringing them from 6 to 7. The winner is actually going to be the pitcher or the winner of the bid because the bid winner counts first. Then it goes to the first player to the left, next player, next player, next player. So if player 1 got the 1 point, bringing them from 6 to 7, they are the winner, even though everybody else got 1 point. Let's take another scenario. Let's say that player 1 who bid 1, got 1, took them from a score of 6 to 7, but the next player got all 3 of the other points, bringing them from 6 to 9 points. Nope, they don't win. The pitcher, first player to 7, wins. Let's say that the first player got set. They didn't even get the 1 point they bid, so they get set back 1 point. Player 2 got 1 point and player 3 got 1 point, bringing them to 7. Player 2 wins because player 2 is the first player to 7, regardless of what every other player got for points. It's all in the order from the pitcher around the table. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's take a look at some animation to understand this game a little bit better. Come on, follow me. All right. Welcome to the animation. This is the game of pitch, also known as Setback. Hey, leave a comment below. Tell us where you're from. What do you call the game? Now, we're playing the version that we call Cutthroat Pitch. What better way to play Cutthroat Pitch but to bring on a bunch of pirates? So, featuring in player 1 position, Captain Morgan, one of our favorite rum lovers. But not our only rum lover, because player 2 will be Captain Jack Sparrow. Welcome, Captain Jack. And speaking of lovers, in player 3 will be our pretty pirate. Hello, pretty pirate. And our favorite pirate of all time for dealer will be Captain Paul Watson of the Sea Shepherd. If you don't know who Captain Paul Watson is, look up Whale Wars. It's pretty amazing. Now, to get this game started, we're going to deal out 6 cards. Remember, we deal them 3 at a time. After cards are dealt, the next step is to bid. Now, the first bid will be the first player to the left of the dealer. That would be Captain Morgan. Captain Morgan looks at his cards, doesn't really like anything he's got, so he's merely going to pass. The next one to bid will be player number 2, Captain Jack Sparrow. Captain Jack looks at his hand. He thinks he's got a pretty good hand, so he bids 2. Next up will be Pretty Pirate. She has to bid 3 if she's going to play the game, though she could bid 4. But she doesn't like it. She passes. Now we go over to Captain Paul. Captain Paul could steal the bid for 2, but he doesn't really feel he's got a strong enough hand to do so, so he's going to pass. Now the pitcher, the winner of the bid, Captain Jack Sparrow, declares trump to be clubs. So clubs will be the dominant suit for this round. Now, normally you won't be able to see everybody's cards, but let's see what is actually in play here. You can see the King of Clubs, held by Captain Jack, will become the highest trump, and Captain Paul holds the 5 of Clubs, which will be the lowest. Now, nobody knows this, because the ace didn't show, neither did anything below the 5. But Jack does have the Jack of Clubs, and there are a bunch of 10s in play for that 4th point of game. There will be our 4 points, high, low, Jack, and game. Now the winner of the bid, also known as the pitcher, will be first one to play. You must lead a trump, and most commonly you play your best trump. So Captain Jack plays his King of Clubs. Pretty Pirate can play either the 9 or the Queen. She's not going to throw that Queen away to the King, so she's going to play her 9 of Clubs. Captain Paul also has a choice. Play the 7 or the 5. He doesn't know that that 5 is or isn't low, so he's not going to take a chance. He'll throw out his 7 of Clubs. Captain Morgan doesn't have any options because he only has 1 trump card. That's the 6 of Clubs. So this trick goes to Captain Jack with that King of Clubs. Now, since Captain Jack won that trick, he is going to lead for the next trick. He doesn't want to lead anymore, so he's going to throw out the worst card he's got with the hopes that he can drop that 10 or Jack in the future whenever he wants to try and secure those 2. He really wants them. Pretty Pirate has to follow suit, and she can, so she throws out her Jack of Hearts. Captain Paul doesn't have a heart, so he has to throw away kind of a worthless card, and he tosses out the 8 of Diamonds. Remember, if you can follow suit, you must follow suit. The dominant suit right now is hearts. So the highest heart is going to win this trick. Captain Morgan does have a heart, though it's not higher than that Jack of Hearts. Therefore, Pretty Pirate wins her first trick. Now that Pretty Pirate won, she has to lead. She's going to come out strong with the Queen, hoping to draw out a Jack or a low card. Good move, because if there was an ace, it probably would have shown by now. Captain Paul has to follow suit because he does have a club, and it turns out it will be the low, as we'll see shortly. Captain Morgan doesn't have any clubs, so he's just going to throw away a worthless card. Captain Jack, on the other hand, has 2 clubs, both of them high value. He knows that Jack is a guaranteed point, while that 10 is likely a game point, but he has no choice, so he has to give up the 10 of clubs. Queen of clubs is high. Pretty Pirate wins a second trick. Now it's Pretty Pirate's turn to lead once again, and this time Pretty Pirate's going to come out with a 7 of spades. She wants to hang on to those 2 diamonds because she would like to be able to secure that 10 of diamonds herself if she can. So we got a 7 of spades played. Captain Paul's going, yeah, I got something for you, and tosses out the ace of spades. That's a 4-pointer towards game, don't forget. Captain Morgan has to follow suit and can with a 1-point jack towards game. So that's a 5-point game in play. Captain Jack does have a 5 of spades, but this is cutthroat pitch. You can trump anytime you want. So he's going to toss out the Jack of clubs. That's a 1-pointer for the Jack, and he's got the ace and Jack towards game. That was a good steal. Now this time it's Jack's turn to lead, and he's thinking throw out the 5 of spades because everybody at this point should be out of spades based on that last trick. And sure enough, Pretty Pirate doesn't have any spades. Remember, now spades are the dominant suit in this trick. But as it turns out, Captain Paul does have a spade that is higher than that 5 of spades. Captain Morgan doesn't have anything, so he's just going to toss away what he's got. That Queen of spades beat that 5 of spades, so Captain Paul wins his first trick. Now it's Captain Paul's turn to lead. He throws out a Queen of diamond. If you cannot beat that Queen of diamond with a higher diamond, Captain Paul's going to win. Captain Morgan has nothing, and Captain Jack has to give up his 10, and so does Pretty Pirate. Queen of Hearts wins that trick for Captain Paul. Now, let's find out who actually won. Remember, there were 6 cards dealt, therefore there are 6 tricks. 2 tricks won by Captain Jack, the pitcher, 2 tricks by Pretty Pirate, 2 by Paul, and Captain Morgan didn't win any. Jack Sparrow bet 2. If he does not get 2, he's going to be set back in his score 2 points. Even if he won 1 and only got 1, well, you bet 2. You bet 2, you got to get 2. Otherwise, you lose 2. And he did, in fact, get high with that King of Clubs. That's 1 point. He also got the Jack of Clubs. That's also 1 point. Therefore, Captain Jack Sparrow won high, and Jack therefore met his bet and scored 2 points. Now, the Pretty Pirate, on the other hand, she was a player, and she did in fact steal that low card from Captain Paul, which turns out to have been that 5 of clubs. The 5 of clubs is actually low because the 2, 3, and 4 never showed. They're left in the deck. So low goes to the Pretty Pirate. She wins 1 point for low. Now we count that last point. Let's count the game point. I'm going to get rid of all of the cards that don't attribute to game point. These are the ones we're counting. You'll see Captain Jack got 1 point for the Jack, 4 points for the Ace, 1 for the other Jack, and 3 points for that King, giving Captain Jack, the pitcher, 9 points towards game. Now we jump over to Pretty Pirate. She got the 10. That's 10 points. The Queen was worth 2. The Jack was worth 1. So Pretty Pirate counted a score of 13 towards game, beating out Jack so far. But there's Captain Paul. Captain Paul got 2 points for each of those queens and 10 points for each of those 10s, giving Captain Paul a count of 24 towards game. Therefore, Captain Paul wins game. If there was a tie, by the way, then game would be awarded to both players in the event of a tie. Done. 1 point for game to Captain Paul. Game over. Shuffle them up. Deal again. All right, we'll throw one little variation here on the deal. Sometimes after a deal, you are given such a bad hand that it's not even fun because you're just sitting there just throwing cards in. It doesn't matter because you can't contribute. You don't have a prayer of winning a single point. So there is a variation. Let me just show you. It's just simply in the deal. Check this out. All right, remember, this variation is just to try and get more cards in play. Normally, the way that we just played in the last animation, we dealt out our 6 cards, dealing them 3 at a time. And then at this point, we would basically bid and play the game. That's the way you normally would play. However, a slight variation would be to play 6 cards dealt and draw to 6 cards. It's just like 5-card draw poker. So we deal out 6 cards to everybody. We then bid, and then after the bidding is done, you get to draw more cards. It's up to you as to how many cards you want to allow anybody to draw, but the advantage once again is to ensure that we get more cards in play. Just another variation. All right, not to make this complicated, but maybe you are already familiar with the game of pitch and you're looking for a variation to just spice it up a little bit. We call the variation 5-9. It's really rather simple. You've got the same 4 points, high, low, jack, and game, but now we add in the 5 of trump and the 9 of trump as worth 5 points for the 5 of trump and 9 for the 9 of trump. And the opening bid in this game is 5 points. So if you're going to bid, you have to bid 5-point minimum. And you don't go around the table once, you go around the table over and over again until the highest bid is met. Now, if your bid 18 points, that basically means you're going to get high, low, jack, and game, but you're also going to secure the 5 of trump and the 9 of trump, which are each very high value numbers. So that's a really fun version of the game. Now, the key to that game is you want to ensure that you get as many cards in the deck out as possible. So the dealing on that one might look like this. And let's just review the rules for 5-9. All right, let's take a look at a couple examples based on the number of players you have. This method of dealing is great for 5 players. You deal out 9 cards to everybody, and then everybody's going to throw away their 3 worst cards, bringing you to a gameplay of 6 cards. So everybody gets 9 cards, throw away the 3 that you don't like, and play the game. It's that easy. Remember, 5 and 9 are really what this game is all about. You've got to secure it. Now, my personal favorite is to play with 4 players, deal out 9 cards, and everybody draws to 6. So instead of just throwing away 3 cards, no, you're going to actually get a draw. Now, you might have to max the number of cards you can draw based on how many cards you have left in your deck. So maybe 4 is the most. After you deal out your 9 cards, you're going to bid. After the bidding is done, then you can throw away cards and draw. Again, you probably max out at 4 as a draw. And then play the game. Remember, the 5 and the 9 is what this game is all about. Must secure. Now remember, you can also play with teams. Teams makes this game a lot of fun. So once again, let's talk about some of the rules that are slightly different for the game 5-9. 1, the opening bid is 5, but you can bid any amount you want. You want to open with 9 or 10, you can do that too. You cannot discard any trump cards. So if you are playing the draw or a discard, you can't throw away trump. You must follow suit during gameplay, meaning you cannot trump anytime you want with version 5.9. There is no trumping anytime. You must follow suit at all times unless you run out of that suit. Then you can throw a trump. Be conscious of the number of players and the number of cards remaining in the deck during any draw. Just count how many players you got and how many cards you have left, and that may be your max draw. It's as simple as that. Remember, this is all about getting that 5-9 in gameplay. That's the whole key of the game. All right. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, by all means, give it a thumbs up. Oh, heck, even if you didn't like the video. If you got this far, give it a thumbs up. And because I do have a bunch of other videos, might be over here or over here. If not, they're certainly down below. Click on the subscribe and you can actually gain quick access to my other card playing videos. I even have a couple videos on a variety of builds. Built a desk, built a bench. Might find that interesting as well. So subscribe. And if you want to be notified by YouTube about any upcoming videos, click that notification button. Thanks again for joining, and have a great day.